Hey, Kamela here from Creative Moms Decant. I am so excited. I got a tumbler turner and we haven't stopped using it, and I have all kinds of tips and tricks so that your first glitter and epoxy tumbler can turn out fabulous.
That floats around me, keeping me safe and sound.
Alright, so I picked up my tumbler turner off of Amazon and I'll link it below. And same with the epoxy. The tumbler kit comes with one tumbler, some resin, and some glitter. So it has everything to make one tumbler. I will tell you, the glitter immediately turned me off. It's cheap Dollar Tree glitter, but I'm not mad I used it for my first one because it has taken us 3 tumblers before we've kind of figured out what we're, and I say we because my husband's been, well, this arrived on Friday and he was off and we played with it all weekend. So he's been a big part. I don't think it stopped turning all weekend. So I also am using my favorite resin. Again, you can use the kit resin. I'm more comfortable with this and I'll link it below. It is a 2-part mix. And then I used masking tape already to tape that end. I did not find that sanding did anything different. So I'm choosing not to sand. You also have the option whether you want to tape off the top or not. I think I know I'm going to run epoxy all the way to the top. The biggest reason is there's no way I'm going to get this straight. I know that. And so if I was going to tape off the top, I would use a tape that was the same width that I wanted. And I did not have that on hand, and I actually like them all the way to the top myself. That's how I did this one. I'll show it. So I did this one all the way to the top. This one is my favorite colors, and it was one of our testers. This is one of those that I had as a sublimation tumbler, and it was a fluke, and so it didn't turn out. So it was perfect to epoxy, and it made me feel like I wasn't wasting. So let's get started on our epoxy resin tumbler. So I'm going to pour even parts over here. So I'm on a very level surface, not on my paper or anything like that. And what I want here is 10 milliliters because that's what I want for the first coat, and this will get hard. So you only want to mix up what you want. So I am putting in, I'm going to make 20 milliliters. I'm putting 10 of each. And I have a silicone beaker that I also grabbed from, I think it came in a kit with another one of my supplies. And I love the silicone because you don't have to throw them away. So I've moved to silicone for anything that I'm not keeping. So that means my UV resin stuff. I am using a mixing cup that has a lid, and they are throwaway, but I'm keeping that. And then you want to stir this. Now, when you're doing small items with epoxy, you really have to worry about air bubbles. But with the tumblers, I freaked out because my husband stirred it and there was 10 million bubbles in it. And actually, once you put it on the tumbler and it spins, they're going to all come out. You may have 1 or 2 you need to pop, but really, there's no need to stir this extremely slowly or worry about air bubbles at this point. So it came with the 2 foams. It came with a larger one and a smaller one. And I have the smaller one in this tumbler, and I'll link the pack of tumblers that I bought. And like I said, these tumblers, I'm not having issues needing to sand them, but I do know a lot of people sand their tumblers. So what I'm going to do now is grab a glove. We tested the Mod Podge method. We tested stir-in glitter method. And this is our favorite way of doing it. And it's what's turning our tumblers smooth and nice and giving them a professional look. So I stirred my epoxy. You definitely need to stir this. It should be stirred for 2 minutes. Really and truly should be stirred for 2 minutes, and it should have a work time of about 40 minutes, and the odor on it is next to nothing. However, I work with my window open all the time. My cats and I both enjoy it. So, all right. So then you want to pour slowly drizzles. I'm going to try to show what without making a big mess, but slow stream, just back and forth. And the goal here is to not drip any. I mean, that's my goal, but let's just be honest. It happens. And then I'm going to go between my lines. So I'm getting between where I went, and basically just trying to pour this epoxy all the way on. So once I have good coverage throughout the middle part, I'm going to take it up here and go along the top with a nice ribbon. And then I'm going to move down to the bottom and do the same thing. And then we're going to get ready to play in the resin. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I leave a little in my cup for where I want to dump later. Other than that, I basically dump all of that resin on. And now you just, I used the brushes and I've used my hand, and the hand was much easier. So I just take a gloved finger and start working the epoxy all over in a smooth coat. And I don't get fast about this. So I'm going to move you in fast mode, but I take my time on this. So let's jump through making this all smooth. So that was really no time at all. And we are just about all smoothed out. So you don't want any areas that doesn't have epoxy, because that's where you get issues. So make sure epoxy is everywhere. There's no empty spots. And then this resin that I use is self-leveling. So once you have it everywhere, it's going to do its thing. It is going to self-level along with the tumbler to keep it turning. This tumbler press also will go in another direction, and usually this is about the time I do that. When I feel like I have my even coat, then I just turn the switch off and back on, and it will turn in another direction. And that was a neat feature. I think I'm going to run my finger one more time down over this tape a little bit, because it's not all the way down there. So I'm going to move some, and that's the glorious thing about the tape, is it has not failed me once. So I did 2 rows of just cheap masking tape, so it's got 2 layers lined up as perfectly as I could get them. And now I think I'm good. It's all the way to the edge of my end, so I'm going to double check up here on this side. And just, if there's any issues, then I'm going to do a whole swipe all the way around with my gloved finger. And I think this one I am. I just saw one issue, so now I just quit looking, and I go ahead and make sure that I've got the epoxy all the way to the top where I want it. And sometimes you can even let your gloved finger just ride. But we tried the brushes, and for both of us, the gloved finger was the way to go. But if you have brushes, definitely try those and see if those work. I'd love to know in the comments if they did for you. The only brush I had a rounded edge, and we did wonder if a flat brush would work. But if you want to try the brush we found that running it at an angle along the cup like this was the best way to do it. And just a real light touch, almost just letting the brush itself touch the cup. And now I want to show you how I apply this glitter, because it's super, super fun. So grab at least 2 colors. I like to grab 3. All right, so the next order of business would be to put your supplies that you used up and put a clean piece of paper underneath your tumbler so that you don't waste glitter. So I am going to start here with my strawberry, no I'm not, I wanted red. Strawberry shortcake is really pretty. Let me open it over here. But it's more pink. Let's do red. Cherry cheesecake is what I was after. Here it is. And I want to do some diagonal lines on this one. So to do that, you want to pay attention to which way your tumbler is spinning, and then get started at the top and work your way down. And I let the tumbler spinning do most of the angle. Isn't that fun? It's so fun to do. It was worth the entertainment. So as we were having failed tumblers, my husband and I both said like, was this a failed business endeavor? And let me tell you, so I don't know what you all do for a date night, but we ate at home and we ate cheap food, and we had a $40 date night. That's all this tumbler turner cost me, was $40. And then I used the tumbler that it came with, and I used about 2 other ones. So it was 3 tumblers in all that I used to make my mistakes, and now I have it figured out. So once this red has spun, I'm going to decide here, and I'm going to go for another red line on this one. So there it is. And you can make that decision later, it's just more cleanup. Then the next thing you want to do is make sure you covered the ends in this color. So whatever color you have, coat those ends. And we're going to clean up all the extra glitter, so don't worry about it. It's only going to stick with what you put on there, so it'll be just fine. And it is going to kind of zig and zag a little, so you do have to be okay with that. My lines aren't perfect, but I love how they blended with the glitter. And I did a thick line, it looks like this time, so we're going to get 2 colors. Okay, I want to catch this end one more time. I've got that one, but I want to catch the next one. So I'm going to get ready. That one actually could use a little bit more. And then I'm ready. I'm going to cover that top. I might have got too much over there because I really wanted to cover it. But these turn out good. Don't freak about how they turn out. So I'm going to grab this and clean my red up. And I do want to tap, I try not to mix my colors more than I have to, so I'm going to tap this out. And I have some extra here that I spilled over. Don't be like me. So make sure this goes all the way to that. Oh, I see. It's taped. I'm going to just fold that a little bit here and get this to my end there. And I always wasted some here, and there was nothing I can do about it, but it isn't that bad. And I did kind of start a rainbow glitter, so I think that's going to be fun. All right, so next I'm going to get my black line. So I'm using black licorice. And here we go. When it gets to the top is where you want to start. And then I just ran down my line. And you can always make improvements and make it wider. It's much harder to knot, to make it thinner. So I am going to get ready, go a little thicker here. All right, and now I want to definitely get some gold in that one. So I'm going to stop. And this one's going to be my big gold one, so I think I'm going to stop other than checking ends again. So make sure you get your top good, and I didn't quite, and your bottom good. That one looks good. The red is looking actually awesome, and then this one. All right, so I'm going to close this up now after I clean up. And make sure you don't get in too much of a hurry and pull this out of the way and something else dumps, because it will dump for one turn, you know, for sure, sometimes two. So clean up my glitter here, tap that off, and we are going to add some gold to peek through on this tumbler. So here's my gold. I'm using pumpkin pie, and this is going to fill in any areas that are still silver, so that's all I'm looking for. So it is still basically following the lines, but I had a little splotch down here, so I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to grab that one on the next row. I can grab a little bit here, yep, in my end. But it's just filling in the spots without going on everything. All right. Whew, this one is snazzy. This is Popular Football Colors. Woo! I see, don't do that. I think it actually is going to look cool, and you're going to see that if you dump too much, it turns out just fine. I've already done that. But this is football colors for my area, so I think it will be amazing on my craft booth. About 30-ish minutes, and we're going to remove the tape now. And it's really easy. Just use the machine to help you. The resin is not quite dry, so it's still tacky, but it's not moving anymore. So here we go. You got to find the end and spin it right off. Super, super easy. Just catch that resin at the right time. So now we're just going to clean up here a little bit more and let this spin overnight. So it is time to turn it off and walk away and just let it continue to spin all night. You want this to be sealed hard before you touch it, and especially before you add a decal like we're going to do next, before we add our next, our final seal coat. So we're getting super close here. I could watch this thing spin all day, but if I do, I'm going to want to touch it. So I'm going to step away, and I'll see you all when it's dry.
That floats around.
All right, so we are back. It has been 24 hours, and this is looking really snazzy. This is definitely going to be the winning method. And I have my next part of my epoxy being stirred up right now. This time I did 7.5 milliliters of each, and that makes a total of 15 ounces of resin. You don't quite need as much this time, so I mixed up a smaller amount. So not by much, just a little bit. And it kind of, this resin turns cloudy when you first stir it, and then as you get it stirred together, it will become very clear. So we're going to set that to the side. I also have my image that I want to put on this tumbler. And I showed some tips and tricks on weeding small images in another video released this week. So you can check that out. I'll link it above, so it'll be linked up there for you. And we are just going to put this image on, as simple as that. So you definitely have to have your epoxy 100% dry for this. And don't rip your image, right? Got a little carried away there thinking it was coming quickly. Awesome. No harm. So I just grabbed 2 paint brushes. I need to get the pool noodle trick, and I'll show that to you soon. But it's basically 2 pool noodles to hold both sides of your tumbler when you're putting on decals, and I can see where that's going to come in handy. I want this one to start at the bottom and lean towards the top, so I'm going to angle it on how I want it. And then put it on. So I wanted it to fall from the center down to the sides, and that will help it adhere smoothly. And then we can remove this transfer tape. I've put images on cups for a long time. I love those color changing cups in the summer. They are fabulous for pool days, and they're fairly inexpensive if they get lost. So I love to put labels on them and hope that they last all summer. All right, we're just going to push this image all the way down, no air bubbles. Make sure it's all pushed down. You could choose to use a squeegee for this. I don't think it's necessary. I get it all pushed down really nicely with my fingers, and it works well. And it sticks to the epoxy glitter very easy. So not a challenge at all. However, I did notice that I missed a piece of black. I thought I saw, okay, maybe not. I think I thought it was right there, but I think it's just in my glitter. It caught my eye. All right, so I'm going to double check, make sure I don't miss anything, and that everything is down nice, because it has to be down nice for this to turn out good. I think it's going to look amazing. So let's move these paintbrushes back to where they go and twist our press in. So I like to, and I haven't done this always, but I like to try to get my press underneath my paper so that I am trying to keep it fairly clean. Don't look at that because you'll judge me. All right, so this is the foam that I was talking about that comes with it, and you just stick your cup on, and that's it on that. And then we're ready to start the rolling. I'm gonna grab my glove. So we're going to do this the same way. We're going to tape off the end. It's just another insurance policy for me, and I constantly need insurance policies. How about you? So then you just pour this on like we have been and wait. So we're going to pour it on. I'm using my gloved finger again, and you do want to make sure that you check your ends for sure, like we did earlier. Also, you kind of need to watch around your vinyl decal. Sometimes it doesn't want to stick on all those edges, so just keep an eye on that for a little bit. And then we're going to pull tape off again after about 30 minutes, the same way it comes off super easy, and this will be done. I am sure that my resin that I've been using when I use epoxy and not UV is what really helps make these look good. I'm a big fan of this resin, so I'll link it below, but it is the best if you're going to do any type of poured project. It's amazing. So let's let this dry. So it's all done here, and I'm so excited to put the lid on. I haven't even dried my hair yet. I am in love with this tumbler. They are definitely a learned art. It's definitely a learned art. I'm not going to say it's easy. However, I've had 2 in a row with this method turn out, so I'm feeling really good about that. I hope you all have a joyful day. I hope you'll share your tumblers in our Facebook group, Creative Moms Decant. Bye, friends.